There we go. Now we're recording. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. I'm Ann. That's
I'm
Brian. And today we are going to be doing some eye exercise stuff. So if you have cataracts or glaucoma and you have any kind of eye issues, be very careful, or you can just practice doing things with your eyes closed. We'll go over that in a minute. But first, we're going to start standing and warm up the body for I guess inversion is kind of the big thing today besides eye stuff. And again, we'll have lots of options for that. So in the meantime, let's just get everything loose and limber and warmed up. So you can probably guess what's coming first. World famous skeletal shaking. Can't get enough of our skeletal shaking. And as I had possibly mentioned before, if you feel like you've got way too much energy somehow magically at this point in your day, feel free to hop in place a bit. We actually just watched a great little documentary about some people in Africa that hop like this a lot, one foot and then the other. That's fine. You can do your afar hopping if you like, or just hopping in place. If it is the end of the day for you and you just want to slough off the day, period, you can kind of flap it off. Typically, I'll tell people in the morning to hop to give themselves energy or to slough everything off to get rid of excess energy, but today we'll do it opposite. If you have lots of energy, just hop until you're tired. And if you don't have a lot of energy, just knock it all out, because it is the end of the day for us here in Baltimore at least. So from here, you can let the twisting start to happen. Just going back and forth with the main idea of keeping things loose and limber. We really don't want to have too much tension as we get into these practices later on, both inverting and seated practice. So feel free to just take this loose. Instead of coming into the more formalized Tibetan twist that we typically teach, let's do Kati Trakasana this time. It's from a yoga tradition where we just go back and forth like this. So we're twisting. You can stop bouncing now if you like. And the opposite hand is touching the shoulder as we twist side to side. I'll show you up close, like that. So just going back and forth. You can even let the momentum of the arms kind of swing you side to side. You can come up on the one toe and then the other. Just going back and forth, kind of floating through air here. I like your demonstration. I feel like we're doing that synchronized swimming with Martin Short and the other guy on Saturday Night Live. Who was that? The guy from The Simpsons, maybe?
Harry Shearer.
Harry Shearer, yes. We're doing their synchronized swimming routine. And then from here, again, we'll shake it off. Let's actually get into swimming because it's so wonderful. So we'll just do the crawl for a second, the front stroke. And you can let your hips become involved in this if you want, figurating them from back to front as you swim forward, getting some motion into the spine, getting some flexibility into the spine. Since we just started moving, let's take this gentle, even if it's just a little bit of a motion from side to side, that's totally fine. Just take it at your pace. Breathing deep, even if you're talking your head off, as is the case with me. Still remembering to breathe. Bending one knee, bending the other. And then we'll shake it off again. And now when we're grounded, we'll do the backstroke. So a little bit more swimming. Oh, how I wish I was swimming in the ocean. But this is the next best thing. So from here, you can let the hips come into your motion if you like. Doing a figure 8 kind of motion as your arms go back, the hip follows. Bending one knee and then the other. Staying loose and flexible and going with the flow, even if you're the one who's creating the flow in the first place. Might as well go with it if you started it, eh? We'll do hip rolls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll just shake it all off again. Ground yourself. If you're getting dizzy at all, just look down at your nose tip as you shake.
I can step out to about mat's width distance, and we're gonna just roll the hips.
Woo! I'm feeling this.
You might feel some pops and cracks, there's some stiffness.
If you're a person who likes to go for walks, this is a great before and after walk movement. Just opening up through the hips here as we roll around.
And then when you feel like it, just go, we'll take it in the opposite direction. And then you can come back to center. We're going to step the feet in at about hips width distance with both feet facing the same direction. 2 fist width helps you measure the feet, or you can hips width distance, or you can just find these 2 knobby parts of the hips here and look down and just make sure your feet are in line with them. And then we're just going to rock the tailbone back and forth. This is like we stick our butt out and we curl our tailbone under.
I'll show from this side.
You can even make this into a lower abdominal exercise if you want. So each time you bring the tailbone forward, you engage these lower abdominal muscles to pull it forward, and then just relax and take them back. And then we're going to bring a small circular motion into this. So now, same thing, rocking the hips forward and back, but we're doing it in a circle.
Those of you with a 2 teacup practice, you can try that with one hand as you do this. Woo! 2 teacups is so crazy that if you don't have a 2 teacup practice, don't worry, I'll go over the hand motion in a minute when we work on arms. But if you do have a 2 teacup practice and you wish to try it while rolling your hips, go for it.
And then we'll go in the opposite direction.
Which means maybe switching that 2 teacup practice.
Yes, it means your teacups will go in the opposite direction too if you're doing the teacup thing.
If you're doing it. And if you're not, don't feel bad. This one took me years to get.
It's confusing enough just to do this just to do the teacups without the hip rolls. So
we'll get to the teacups after this.
And then we will come back to center, shake it out. You can even wiggle it out a little bit if you need to. And then we're going to step the feet out again a little wider. Doesn't have to be mat's width distance, but just a little wider than hips width distance. And we're going to make figure 8s with the hips. So we're taking one hip and bringing it forward and back, and then the other hip is forward and comes back. So
second chance for this. If you were confused doing it from swimming earlier, now is your chance to just focus on the hips here, as if you're drawing an infinity sign on the floor with a pencil possibly sticking out of your tail. How awkward could that metaphor get?
Yeah.
There should be a class where we just teach extremely awkward yoga metaphors. So when you're ready, we'll switch direction, taking those hip rolls the other way. So this time I'm leading from the glutes, and they come forward one by one. You want to do these like a couple minutes?
Yeah, sure. All right, so we'll come back to center. Let's now step our feet together. I'm going to bend into the knees a little bit. If you want, you can even bring the hands to the knees. And we're just going to make these little circles with our knees.
And just to be a picky yogi, when you're doing this, no need to really get the tail involved. It's really, the spine is long here. The tail is still tucked, but my knees are where the action is, and also by default, my ankles. So you might feel some movement in your ankles as you do this too.
So now let's take that circle in the other direction. It looks crazy, right?
I like your sound effects for it though. Da, 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 da. All right. And then from here, I do want to do.
Sorry. It seems like some funny dance.
Oh, we're coming up today.
A long time ago.
So at this point, if you want to have a block around, great. It's not, oh, I got one for you. I
Oh,
was thinking of you.
I didn't realize we needed
If you
one.
want to have a block around nearby the wall, that's great. We are going to come up to the wall if you like. You could do this in the middle of the floor and not by the wall. But I recommend by the wall just for the sake of full hip release. So at this
I'll
point,
do it not on the wall, just to show people. So you can show it on the wall. Sorry.
no worries. At this point, let's bend one knee. If you're near a wall, bend the knee that's furthest away from the wall. And we're going to grab the ankle with the hand. If you want to use the strap here and wrap it around the ankle and use that, that's fine. I'm going to draw my knees close to each other and then tuck my tail, if I can, feeling possibly a little bit of tightness in the front of the bent knee thigh. In my case, the left quad. From here, I'm going to release my ankle and just draw little circles, exploring my range of motion here as I open up my hips, standing up in this posture. I also find that I build a little bit of core strength just by doing this, whether or not I'm holding the wall. When you're ready, we'll switch directions, so starting with little circles that maybe spiral out to bigger and bigger circles, and get more and more delicious as you explore space. And then from here, feel free to come stand on your block or your book, or you can stand on the ground, honestly, and be fine with this too. You just tend to lean a little bit to the side. So I'm going to stand on my block and just let my legs swing back and forth. And let's do this for a little while, because I have found when you do these kind of loosey-goosey momentum movements like this, the longer you do it, the greater the effect in the body when you are still again, as we will see in a minute. So not only should we go forward and back like this, and feel free to involve the arm if you like, you don't have to. If you don't want to, you can keep it on your hip. Let's now open our hip. So how would I do this? I'm going to turn the block kind of at a diagonal to the wall, so my standing foot is sort of duck-footed, like it's pointed out. And then I'm still going to do the same thing. So it's like an open hip leg swing, or almost like a diagonal leg swing. And then at this point, I'm going to turn the block so that my foot's kind of pigeon-toed away from the wall. Same thing. So another strange diagonal. But it's almost like I'm crossing my swinging leg in front of my body. If my body is kind of open like this. And then back to the side.
A little harder if you don't have a wall, but that's okay. Not everybody has a wall.
It's a class of obscure movement. If anything really doesn't make sense, feel free to type in and we'll answer any questions you may have. So now at this point, let's do the other leg. And as we stand here, let's just see if it feels like there's any difference between the leg that was moving and the leg that was still. For me, my moving leg feels a little bit like things are flowing, like energy is flowing there, like there's a little bit more life there. But that's just me. That could be totally different for you. So the other leg will come up to a wall or stand in the center of the room, bending the other knee, drawing the knees together, drawing the heel towards the hips, either with your hand or with a strap. Let's tuck the tail. And feel that nice long stretch through the front of the thigh here, through the quadricep. And then at this point, we'll let go of the ankle. You can bring the hand to the hip if you like. And we'll draw little circles, rotating out, bigger and bigger, exploring your range of motion. And then when you're ready, we'll go the other way, little circles, working their way to bigger and bigger circles. Exploring your range of motion. And then, if you want to shake that leg out, we'll come and stand on our block for our leg swings, just front and back. So the block is parallel to the wall here. My standing foot is parallel to the wall. And I'm just going to swing my leg back and forth, possibly swinging my arm as well. Really letting it be loose and open and free, hopefully not kicking over any furniture or any friends nearby. And then at this point, I'm going to come down for a second and turn my block a little bit so it's kind of at a 45-degree angle to the wall. And now at this point, my toes are pointed towards the wall and my heel is kind of pointed away. I'm going to do the same thing, swinging that leg back and forth. So it's almost like it's coming behind my body and out to the side and front. And then last but not least of our obscure movements today, well, not really, but of these obscure movements, let's turn the block so that our toes are pointing away from the wall and our heel is coming towards the wall. So it's like my standing leg is a little bit pigeon-toed. Same thing, swinging the legs. So now it's as if my swinging leg is crossing in front of my body and then going back at a diagonal, like this. Very nice. And then when you're ready, we'll shake it all off, shake everything off. We'll do a little bit of arm stuff, and then we're just going to take it down for strength building, just a little bit. So for arms, I'd love to show 2 teacups, but why don't we do wrists and elbows too, just for the old time's sake.
Okay.
You want to teach them?
Do elbows and wrists?
Yeah, elbows and wrists.
Yes. So let's take our hands, take our thumbs out, curl the let's take our
The thumbs coming in.
thumbs come into the palms, curl the 4 fingers around. So that gives us this stretchy motion. And then we're gonna rotate the wrist with long arms. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed down. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, we're gonna take the arms up. Keep the shoulders relaxing down and not creeping up with the arms. Continuing that rotation. Then you can go down the front of the body with the arms. Continuing that rotation. When you get to the bottom, switch the direction you're rotating the wrists and then take them up the front and down the side.
Always feel that on the way down. And then, same thing with the hands. And
take the arms out, hands, thumbs tucked again, arms out, in a T, relax shoulders. And like we're swinging from the elbow, we're making these airplane propellers with the forearms.
Ooh,
facing forward.
I'm feeling this one.
A few times in this direction. Then let's switch the direction.
Sore shoulders. If you are like me and you have sore shoulders that you discover exactly how sore they are in this movement. What's that?
So I do it this way. Here's that.
I was going to take us right to the teacups.
Okay,
so I'm going to come up close so you can see what I'm doing. So this is a means of unwrapping tension in the shoulder. I'm standing. Well, pretend I'm standing. I'm standing on my knees, but you can stand on your feet. And my hands are right in front of me like this, like I'm holding energy. From here, you can see my thumbs are out. I'm going to take one hand and lead with the thumb and come like that. Then from here, I'm going to take my arm back like this and then turn the fingers towards me. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And then from here with the fingers towards me, I'm going to flow around like that. It really doesn't make any sense unless you pretend that you have a teacup of hot tea on your hand, in which case you really don't want to spill it. And the idea is that the hand stays as parallel to the ground as possible in this movement. And you can use your spine in this movement as you do this. This is actually from Qigong. It's not technically a yoga practice, but they're all branches on the same tree. So let's expand our branches a little bit. So that's with one hand. And if it doesn't make any sense, don't worry, you have the other hand to give it a try with. So now we'll try with our opposite, or our other hand, in my case, my left hand. I'm gonna lead with the thumb, coming out to the side, then turning the fingers towards me, then lifting the elbow, trying to keep the hand parallel to the ground, and then turning it back around. So it's almost like I'm drawing a circle with my thumb. The thumb is leading here, And it's like sort of like a figure eight motion. I wish I could explain this better, but again, if you have any questions, feel free to type in. And if it's easy for you, you can do both at the same time, which might require a little bit of forward and back motion with the spine, like that. So just a little fun aside. You can shake it off, and we will come down to the mat for a little bit of core building. And to come down to the mat today, you can come down any way you like, but if you want to try a squat just for sort of opening up the low back and opening up the pelvic floor, feel free to take the feet maybe a little bit wider than that distance, or at least as wide as you need them to be for a yoga squat. We'll inhale the arms up, and exhale, come right down into our squat. If you want to sit on a block or a folded up blanket or something like that, totally fine. One thing I do want to bring up with the yoga squat, which is of utmost importance, this is not my squat. This is Gollum's squat. My squat is nice and long through the spine. So my heart is open here, even if it means I kind of have to come up a bit to really be in it properly. I much rather want to keep an open heart in the squat than a collapsed, hunching monster squat. So just a little side point about squat. And same thing with my tail. I'm not really trying to stick it out. I'm also trying to keep my tail long here. So anyway, a little bit on squat, and then we're just gonna come to seated. Do you think I'm feeling like a bicycling kind of event maybe, and some like twists and just sort of gentle core strengtheners before, ooh, excuse me, that Enterprise is calling me, some core strengtheners before we get into our inversion practice.
Yes.
And our gazing practice, which should actually be sort of more relaxing than all this crazy stuff. So feel free to core us good.
All right. So we can come onto the mat. Let's take our hands and interlace the fingers and just let the head hang out into this hand basket that we're creating here. You can also leave the head on the earth. If you are taking it up a little bit, just really let it relax into those hands. No tension in the neck. And take the legs out into parallel to the floor, and then we're just going to start to rotate the feet like we're bicycling. So you can just do this very nice and easy like this. If you want to get a little more elaborate with it, you can add a twist into it. So as one knee comes towards you, you bend the opposite elbow towards that knee, then the other as you go. So your option, how hard do you want to make this bicycle? And then we're going to try switching directions for a second. Just for a second. Just try pedaling backwards just to feel how strange that feels. And again, if you want to do the twist with that, you can, or you don't have to.
It's hard.
And then let's just roll onto our backs. Bring the knees into the chest. Hug everything in. Do a little bit of rocking side to side. You can go up and down if you want. Let's also take our knees in our hands and make little circles. So this gives us a nice massage on the lower back, which is an area that we can sometimes store tension in when we're doing abdominal work. And, take it in the other direction as well.
Hello, floor. So at this point, let's take advantage of this wonderful position for loosening up our ankles. So it's up to you. You can either do this as sort of a more restorative thing, keeping the knees towards your chest and just rolling the feet in little circles like this. Or if you want to make it a bit of a core building movement, you can take the legs back to those 90-degree angles, take the hands back behind the head, supporting the head just gently, but really using your core and your abdomen to hold you up. Same thing. Rotating at the ankles, first going in one direction. And if you are doing this as a core building exercise, try to keep your knees as close to each other as possible. And breathe. Sometimes hard for me. And when you're ready, we'll switch direction, rotating the ankles the other way. Exploring your range of motion
in ankle rolls. I had the misfortune of spraining my ankle by sitting on my feet till they fell asleep and then standing up and falling down, aka tripping over air. And what I found was these ankle rolls at first, after that sprain, were really challenging, but after a while, they actually really helped me to heal from that. So as always, do everything with mindfulness, do it with awareness. If it hurts a lot, don't do it. But if it hurts just some and you're curious what that hurt is all about, go for it. So at this point, bring the knees in, again, rocking side to side. We'll do twists. Feet down and feet up, maybe? I'll do the feet up, you do the feet down. So when you're ready, feel free to put your feet down on the mat, arms come out in a T, and we're just going to further release our low backs by letting the knees rock side to side, back and forth for little supine twists. This may be quite relaxing for you, in which case do this at whatever pace is most comfortable. If you want to take it kind of slow, that's totally fine. However, if you're a core building junkie and you must build that core some more, feel free to bring the legs back up to that same 90-degree shape and do this practice with knees bent but feet off of the ground. So gently letting the knees rock side to side. And of course, as always, this isn't the practice for me today, but I'll show it to you. If you really want a little extra, you can straighten the legs. Woo! Hello! And do the same thing. Oh my goodness. As I said before, this one is not my practice today, so I'm going to come back to good old bent knees here. I'm going to be bridging. Have an option of support.
Come back to center. And we're going to set up for bridge. So we want the knees up, feet on the mat. And we want to, when we come up and turn a little sideways here, some people say put your feet close enough that you can touch the backs of your feet with your fingertips. But for some people that have shorter legs, that ends up putting your knees past your ankles. So just whatever keeps the ankles underneath of the knees. And so we're going to hang out here, and then we're going to inhale just a hip up towards the sky. Hips go up as far as you can. If you want to support this, you can put a block underneath you.
You don't have to make this an active movement, but if you don't want to support this and you do want to make this an active movement, you can exhale the hips down, inhale the hips up, exhale the hips down, inhale the hips up. So you can gently move back and forth in that kriya, in that action, or you can take possibly a much needed break, supporting the hips with a block at low, medium, or high. And just resting here for a second, letting the psoas muscles open up, the muscles in the front of our sort of hip area here. And if you are supported and you really want to open up those psoas muscles and it feels comfortable to do so, you can straighten one leg down towards the corner of the mat, straighten the other leg down towards the corner of the mat, and really let the hips open out over the block. The block is right below my sacrum, which is that little kind of triangle shaped thing at the bottom of my spine that ends with my coccyx, my tailbone. Oh, that's lovely. And if you are spread out like this with the legs straight and you want to take this even further into a big letter X, you can raise one arm up above your head. Hello! And raise the other arm up above your head, just splaying out here. This is literally how our cat sleeps in his favorite chair, on his back, completely splayed. Watching your belly rise and fall, perhaps, as you breathe deeply. And then when we're ready, we'll come out of this. So to come out, if you're in supported block, you bend one knee and then the other, or supported bridge, you bend one knee and bend the other, lift the hips, remove the block, and then let your spine come down vertebra by vertebra. So working your way down from the top of the spine all the way down to the tailbone, at which point you can take the knees in towards the chest. Again, rocking side to side. And at this point, we introduce to you a choose your own adventure inversion. For those who do not want headstand, I'm going to show you some options right now, just from right here on my back. So the easiest option for me is legs up, and actually it's even easier if I take this block, lift my hips a little bit, and then rest the sacrum again on the block. So I'm hanging out here with the block under my hips, legs right above me, arms down by my side, or I can just fold my hands on my belly, maybe one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart, and just breathe here. If you want to have this be even more restorative, I know I said it was the easiest version, you can come up to your little piece of wall and draw your hips up against the wall, curled up in a fetal position. Then from here, with my hips against the wall, I'll take one leg up, then the other, and here I am, legs up the wall. This is absolutely delightful. I highly recommend it. If you want to do shoulder stand, I'll show you first shoulder stand at the wall. That is one option as well, and then shoulder stand away from the wall. So shoulder stand at the wall, I come the legs up the wall like this. So again, getting the legs of the wall, I'm sort of lying in a fetal position next to the wall with my hips right against the wall. I take one leg up and then the other. For shoulder stand, I bend one foot and the other. So my feet are standing on the wall. At this point, I'll lift my hips. So it's like I'm coming into bridge again, except my knees are now going past my ankles. So I'll walk my feet up the wall here. And then I can take my hands and support under the hips here, either with feet on the wall, or if I want to experiment with feet off the wall, I'll take the feet away from the wall and walk my hands down my spine towards my shoulder blades for a full shoulder stand. Half shoulder stand is an option too. Legs come just a little bit over my head. My hands hold my hip bones here, my iliosacral crest, those knobby knobs in the front of my hips. And this is my half shoulder stand. So to show you real quick from the side what those look like, because I know it's hard to tell when you see me from that angle. Full shoulder stand, legs come up, and I walk my hands up my back like this. I'm keeping my neck as long as possible here. I know it's not always easy. Half shoulder stand, my hands are placed a little bit lower around my hips, supporting my hips, and my legs come over my head at a 45-degree angle. So those are your options if you want to take it gentle. If you want to do a headstand, now Brian will show you, and I will demonstrate tripod headstand. He's going to show you traditional headstand. The reason why I like tripod headstand as opposed to traditional headstand, if you notice, the hand modality for traditional headstand is like this, and my head is higher than my elbows, and my arms aren't super duper long. So for me, coming into headstand like this is not so easy on my shoulders, in which case tripod headstand, which looks like this, is a lot easier. So it's up to you. If you do tripod headstand, just remember to keep your elbows from splaying out to the side as your hands support you. So I'll just show you that, and Brian will talk you through traditional. Sorry about that. I know that was
No, and any way you want to do it, whether you're doing tripod or traditional, best to measure off the elbows. So then you can place your hands down after having measured off the elbows, and you know that the elbows are directly underneath the shoulders and not way out here to the side. So get the most stability. So Anne's showing tripod headstand. And I'll show traditional. Again, I'll turn this way. And I like to measure off the elbows, interlace the fingers, put the crown of my head on the floor.
And I should mention, feel free to practice this against the wall if you want to have a little extra support.
And I like to just walk my feet in until my hips are almost stacked directly above my head. Then I don't really have to do any sort of kicking. You don't really want to kick up into a headstand. That's a good way to keep going past where you want to stop. The idea is you have enough core strength that you can just pick up your feet into this A shape, and you straighten the lower legs, keep the knees bent, and then unfold the legs. Here we are, headstand, traditional headstand, and tripod headstand. Feel free to come in and out. Yes, feel free to practice against the wall. Feel free to not practice headstand at all.
And if you were in headstand and you come out and you want a restful posture afterwards, please take child's pose. Lowering the head towards the mat, hips towards the heels, knees are tucked together right under the body so the spine is arching long over the legs. If you were in shoulder stand, I'll show from the side here, you can do fish. So for shoulder standers, come down, laying on the back, bend the knees, lift the hips a little bit, take the palms of the hands under the hips so my glutes are resting on the back of my hands. I'm gonna tuck my shoulders and bring my elbows towards each other, flexing my feet. I'm gonna look up at my toes, lift my chin, and lower the crown of the head towards the ground. Now, notice this funny thing. When my crown comes towards the ground, then I open up my heart. So I'm hanging out here, and then the shoulders come back. Getting that nice counter stretch, the shoulders stand. If you're still in legs up the wall, own it. It's yours. It's delicious. It's wonderful. Feel free to come out whenever you're ready. Taking the legs to the side, curling back into the fetal position. And when you're ready, coming out of fish, which would mean lifting the head, taking the back down, arms out. Here we are either sitting or laying on the ground. Either way, let's bring ourselves to seated. I'm gonna check how much time I've got to get away with this wonderful eye exercise I've got planned for you. Oh, this is wonderful. 22 minutes. This is great. We got through so much. And yet we still have all this time. So tratak, let's bring the camera closer for this, because now we enter into a meditative place. So you want to use that one and I'll use this one. Apologies that our backs will be to you, away from, or towards you in this practice. So I'm going to place you so you're facing there and I'll be facing this. So if you can see Brian, he'll be our wonderful demonstrator for this. Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to circle it anyway. So whether you have a pencil, well, you know, I have a past as a graffiti artist, so this is not really that out of my range. Whether you have a pencil or a sticker or maybe a small piece of masking tape, whatever you got, you want to make a mark on the wall. That's why we're using pencil. That if you want to put your arm out and scoot back just a hair, and I'm going to put you up on a seat. I do recommend a seated position for this just because it keeps the hips open. So Brian's got to reach his arm towards the wall, and look at this. He has arm's length from the wall. That's great. So from here, we're going to draw a little circle about eye level. If you have been feeling really down recently, feel free to draw it about 3 inches above eye level. If you've been feeling really anxious recently and you just need to calm down, feel free to draw it about 3 inches below eye level. If you feel, life is life, then eye level is your choice. Which one do you want?
I don't know.
Okay, is that about right?
Sure.
All right. Our nice painted walls
Ruined.
now are ruined forever. Our house will never sell if we decide to move, but thankfully we're not looking to move anytime soon. So this is his point of focus. Is this like right in front of your face?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so that's his point of focus here. What Brian's gonna do is he's gonna gaze at this point, trying not to blink. Now, if you wear glasses, this is a good practice to do without. If you're blind like me, Maybe you make your circle extra big or use something that's a different color than the wall that you're working with, because it is best done without glasses. So as Brian gazes at this thing, trying to avoid blinking, he may find that his eyes begin to water. That's totally okay, totally part of the practice, totally normal, and actually the reason why we're doing this, because tratak is a cleansing exercise. It's one of the karma. That's 6 actions. Karma are cleansing exercises traditionally practiced before even beginning to do any sort of traditional yoga posture, with the idea that if you clean out the gunk in your body, then when you do yoga and you bring the energy up and you get things flowing in the body, it's a very clean and pure energy and keeps you from having freakouts and panic attacks and that type of thing. So, Kundalini sickness is a thing. I'm always happy to talk about that. If anyone has questions, feel free to message us. So, from here, yeah, he's just gazing at the wall. So I recommend find yourself a nice piece of wall that you don't mind sticking a little sticker or a piece of tape to, or drawing a teensy circle on with a pencil. Find yourself arm's width from the wall and give it the circle either higher or lower, depending on mood. I'm gonna go higher because I'm always looking towards the stars. I have to do a big circle. It's all right, we have an eraser. And we still have this paint color too, which is great. So at this point, we're doing tratak. I would like us to do it for 5 minutes. When we were trained to do this practice, it was 10 minutes a day. So consider yourself lucky that we're taking it easy.
Don't use that. That phone's dying.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. I just saw the time of this. So when you're ready, if you're wearing glasses, feel free to put them somewhere to the side that is safe. Keeping the spine nice and long, possibly sitting up on something just so that you can maintain open hips here in any kind of easy seated posture. If you want to do this in a chair, totally fine. Just make sure the spine is long and allow the eyes to rest upon your point of focus. So it's not a bug-eyed Johnny Rotten style gaze, but more of a soft, unblinking resting of the eyes. If you blink, like I just did, that's totally fine. But see if you can do that whole thing like that lady from Psycho, where she held that posture for so long without blinking. I was always blown away by that. Breathe deeply. Letting the energy settle in the body. Focusing on the point at arm's length. Possibly feeling as if the point is coming closer and closer to you as you gaze on it, gently, lovingly, relaxed, open. If you feel tears coming, know that that's part of the cleansing quality of this practice. It's helping you to wash out excess proteins from the tear ducts, which inhibit the release of serotonin. So allow yourself those tears. They will make you feel better. If your eyes stray from the point, it's okay. Just gently, lovingly bring them back to the point. This is a practice to be done with patience, love, and compassion for yourself. If your eyes are not tearing up, that's okay. You're not failing. Keeping the spine long, heart open. Possibly you'll see in your field of vision lots of colors and lights dancing around as your eyes relax on the point. It's part of the adventure, part of the fun. Just a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can gently close the eyes. Rub the hands together vigorously, building heat in the palms. And then gently cup the palms over the closed eyes, feeling the heat from the palms radiate onto the eyelids. From here, open your eyes, looking at the cracks in between your fingers. And gently draw the hands away from the face, letting them drop down to your lap. Maybe wiping off any tears that have showed up. And then we'll do just a little bit of exercising the eyes, just so that they get a little stretch after that kind of intense gazing practice. So with glasses still off, just as we do rotational movements to warm up the body or cool down the body after muscular expenditure, we're doing the same thing with our eyes. We're going to take our hand like this and do a fist with the thumb sitting up, and I'm going to draw the thumb right towards the center of my face. So things get blurry and a little awkward here. If it's painful to have your eyes crossed like this as you gaze at the nail bed of your thumb, feel free to take the thumb just a little further away from the face. Otherwise, you can draw it right up close to the face like that. From here, I'm going to keep my eyes on my thumbnail as I lift them up, as I lift my thumb up and over the right eye, all the way to the right, down below the right eye, and then back up to center. Then I'll do the same thing, lifting the thumb up and over the left eye, all the way to the left, down to the left, and back to center. So it's like I'm drawing these infinity sunglasses with my thumb. Just keeping my eyes gently on my thumb. If you find there's a place where, where your eyes want to skip over, feel free to just kind of draw back and forth through there. And then bringing the thumb back to center when you're ready. And then because this is yoga and we always want to keep things in balance, we strive for balance, let's switch directions. So this time my thumb is coming down and to the left, all the way to the left, up and to the left. This is my tough spot right here. Up above my left eye, and then back to center. Down and to the right, all the way to the right, up and to the right, back to center. So same thing as the other side, just going in the opposite direction. Take this at your own pace. And as I said before, if it's painful for you to have your thumb real close to your face, you can give it some space. and just have slightly larger infinity sunglasses. It's like a clown glasses, sort of, those wonderful giant clown sunglasses that are in infinity shape. And then when the thumb comes back to center, let's inhale deeply with the thumb right at the center, gazing right at the thumb nail bed. And then as you exhale, take the thumb out long and then look past it as if you're looking out over a grand vista, like you're on top of Mount Everest or something like that. Inhale the thumb back close to you, looking at the nail bed, crossing your eyes. Exhale, thumb comes out long, you follow the gaze and then look beyond. Inhale, drawing the thumb back in, keeping an eye on the nail. Exhale, following the nail all the way out to arm's length and looking beyond. And then hands can come down. Great job. You did it. So from here, if you want to put your glasses back on, that's totally fine. And we will come right into Shavasana. Okay. So find your most comfortable Shavasana. If there are any other movements or postures or stretches or things you need to do to make yourself ready for your Shavasana, maybe putting on socks or a sweatshirt or a blanket, give yourself comfort. It really is so wonderful. And if not ourselves, who can we rely on for comfort? And one last thing I recommend as we come into Shavasana, again, if you wear glasses, I do recommend to take them off and put them somewhere safe to the side, just so you can fully let the face relax. Bringing the hands out to the side, tucking the tail just a little, tucking the chin just a little, and then maybe lifting up through the heart like we did in fish, tucking the shoulder blades, and then letting them rest on the ground. Softening the face, softening the area between the eyebrows, softening the heart, the belly, the hips, the shoulders, the arms, the legs, the hands, the feet. And just letting the breathing become soft and natural and unencumbered.
You can start to bring your awareness back to your body and deepen your breath. You can start to get some motion into the toes and fingers. Feel free to move that wrists and ankles as well if you like. You can turn your head side to side. So we'll give ourselves a big stretch. So let's interlace the fingers, send the palms of the hands away from the crown of the head towards the wall behind you. Bring the feet together, press out through the heels. Inhale, take a big long stretch on your mat. And then when you exhale, bring the knees into the chest. You can hug everything in. You can do any rocking that you want to do. We're eventually going to make it up to seated. You can rock over to one side for a second, if you like. Eventually making your way up to a comfortable seated position on the mat. You can bring your palms to touch at heart center and a gesture of gratitude. Thank yourself. Thank you, everybody that helped came in today and practiced with you. And I like to always conclude the practice with the sound of Om. So feel free to join. We'll take a deep inhale. Thank you for coming today. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.
Namaste. The yoga's working. Thank you, everyone. We will be here next week. All right.